Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Lockdown Hot Takes. I'm your Lodge Master. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
What's up?
And Brother Lucas.
Yo.
Just us three tonight. We are covering the Netflix I don't know what you call this.
Docudrama,
The Social Dilemma. And I feel like there's already been a lot of media about this movie just because it is so of the now. It's all about our addiction to our devices. As we sit here talking into a device while looking into a device, surrounded by devices.
Headphones on. Yeah, I'm like literally plugged in.
Completely checked in. This movie begins with a quote from Sophocles. Nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse. And the first thing I thought of after I read that was, all right, we could just stop there. I get it. I fucking get it. Like, that's kind of the be all end all. It's like, yeah, a big wrecking ball hit our psyche and our entire globe with this crippling tech addiction. And it's a blessing, yeah, but it's ultimately a curse. And that's the whole thesis, and that kind of wraps it up. So what did you guys think when you read that quote coming right out of the gate?
It hit home.
Yeah, you know, I've been on the internet 15 years. I mean, I've been on the internet longer than that, but I've been working on the internet for 15 years, and I've seen this arc of tragedy in its, you know, and
it is not beautiful.
I mean, Wikipedia was like, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Can you imagine user-generated content? This is going to be great.
Yeah.
It was like 2005.
Yeah.
Then the problems that are laid out in this doc are with us.
I feel like by the time I saw this doc, I'd already become very sober and like aware of how dangerous the internet and social media has become after the 2016 election. You know, I became woke, as they say, in 2017, you know, during the Charlottesville protests and Heather Heyer getting murdered by these alt-right MAGA trolls. It was like, oh man, I didn't realize, you know, Facebook was bringing a lot of these hate groups together and like mobilizing them. And so it's just going from the chat room into the courtyard or whatever. It's physically manifesting itself in various ways. So I didn't feel like that quote or that opened the doc or anything was too shocking. It was kind of like, yeah, on point. Like, it definitely hit home.
Right. And you see all of the standard talking heads that happen in this documentary where it's all these former, emphasis on former top development people from all these different tech companies. And they all look like they've witnessed several gruesome murders. They've absorbed the past. They're horrified by the present, and they are fucking dead terrified of the future.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff that I know we think about all the time. I definitely talk about it all the time, especially if you get a little herbal remedies in my system. I will go for hours about it. So that's why I feel like this movie is basically just a primer for someone who hasn't thought about it or has thought about it very little, who just totally gives themselves to their phone and doesn't even do that little step of critical thinking like we do. Well, we fully give ourselves to our phone. So, and the fact that it's also on Netflix shows that this is, you know, they're trying to hit the widest margin of people possible. And that's what brings us to perhaps what this movie is most infamous for. I think I can say infamous at this point because there are heavily produced reenactments that run throughout this movie, a narrative, if you will, that follows the projected course of what this addiction leads to.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a point of controversy, especially in this group. And I want to know what did you guys know about these beforehand? What did you think when it hit?
No, I didn't know anything about it beforehand, but I thought it was kind of like an old high school educational like video almost. Like there was
a PSA.
Yeah. There was something very pedestrian and kind of pandering about it, where it's like, oh, this.
What about a student feature?
Yeah.
Is there a student feature whiff to it?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say those segments are student feature certified.
Ooh, student feature certified.
I mean, initially I was very worried when those came out. I remember brother Justin saying something in a chat about he liked the doc, but these docudrama sequences he didn't go well with them. But then I thought about, because I've seen and thought about this stuff forever and seen docs that are on this subject matter. But I'm like, when you want to sit your teen down with the #1 movie on Netflix, which I think this was for a while, and show him, hey teen, hey preteen, this is what's going on, and you need to be a little worried about what you spending 6 to 8 hours on your phone every day, and and so I think in the end, as a method of, as Lucas said, kind of after school special or whatever you want to call, like this is the lessons we want to teach. I think they'll be kind of effective for that. It had me laughing a number of times. Like,
yeah,
well, that's always a good thing.
The Vincent Kartheiser actor playing multiple roles as like the manifestation Oompa Loompa of like the social media apps. That's like, let's give him a poke, like let's, it's like they're like in a war room, like situation room.
They
like,
visually represent humans literally controlling this teen boy's mind with his device.
His credit was he played 3 people. It was advertising AI, engagement AI, and growth AI personified.
Yeah.
Personified.
So that in itself is like, feels student feature to me. It's like a student filmmaker would be like, yep, fucking nailed it. That is so clever. But it's basically just, if you remember the program Herman's Head from the 90s.
I do.
Yes,
I know.
Herman's Head. Yeah.
That was great. That was a great show.
Controlled by different aspects of his personality represented by humans. And it's basically that. And it interrupts these talking heads, these titans of the new social media industry. And it took me out of it every time because it's very obvious that, oh, now we're in the movie section of this. But is that necessary to keep a teen hooked? Like, how do you keep a teen hooked, like on just talking heads alone? It might have been necessary.
Yeah.
So any misgivings that we have to be, offered up to the greater good of, getting this PSA in front of the right eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought the actors were pretty good. The girl, I was like, who is that? Who's that? Finally looked, and she was the girl in Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But the other young girl who's like looking at social media at a certain point, and someone calls her elephant ears. And then, and then she starts crying in a mirror. Like, that's not going to be effective for a preteen. Like, I think in terms of being like, maybe I shouldn't take this stuff so seriously and get depressed over it. Like, I don't know.
Right. Well, the talking head section of it was giving some good information. Like, it's talking about how these devices control our dopamine and gives us hits so that we're hooked. We keep coming back. But again, it's so basic that I would lapse into just entire sections of, who the fuck isn't already fully aware of this?
There's no class on any of this, on like media ecology or whatever you want to call it. There's no class in any school except for maybe college if you want to like really dive deep into your curriculum or something if you're like in media studies. But for kids and for teenagers and high schoolers, there's no class for this. This is the only way you're going to learn about it.
Part of that reason is we, like Lucas mentioned, you know, we've seen an arc. The arc's still moving up. Like we haven't even seen close to the end of this. We don't know what the end game is of this. We don't know if we are just going to be all in like VR matrix silos, you know, warehoused together. And my question to you guys is, how many years from now will it be that we treat like exposure to this social media kind of like we learned how to treat toxic waste in the 20th century? Like limiting your exposure because we know it fucks you up, but we know, you know, you can be around it a little bit. Like when is it finally going to sink in that we need to limit ourselves on this front? Or do you think the Matrix is just going to consume us all and it's fucking over?
I think it's going to consume us all. I mean,
me too. We're fucked.
Yeah, it's like the genie's out of the bottle.
I thought the part that's was the most convincing and is the biggest argument. I mean, you can knock the advertising model that these companies have, and you can, get pissed about the addiction stuff, but the polarization stuff, and when the kid goes down into his filter bubble stuff. I remember hearing about filter bubbles in the early 2010s and being like, I listened to a diverse
Can you explain what that is? Yeah.
It's the silo of information that Facebook and YouTube and Twitter will take you down. Basically, like the recommendations that they'll send you down. So it's like when you go to a Wikipedia page, I thought one of the best, sections in it was Jaron Lanier, who's been a critic of these companies for a long time, was like, when you go to Wikipedia, you see everybody in the world sees the same thing. When you go to YouTube or Google or Facebook, and you search something, depending on who you are, where you are, who your friends are, all the data points they have on you, everybody gets a different set of facts. And that
they say it's like 2.7 billion Truman shows. Everybody's in their own bubble. Yeah.
And that's a totally legitimate argument. Like the internet is catered to everyone to keep their attention as long as possible. And
now it's completely crystal clear how we ended up where we are right now, because the only way to look at our division in this country right now is that we live in different realities.
Yeah.
People just exist in their own filter bubbles, which creates their reality. And we talk to each other less and less. So that's where we are. And the social media is driving the fucking ship.
Conspiracy theories are just going wild. I mean,
Pizzagate is invoked.
Man, like a quarter of people deny the Holocaust ever happened.
It's crazy.
Flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, things that should never have been like a problem are now like a problem because, people get that brainwash feedback loop.
I do think the battle's already over. Like fake news is the Pandora's box that cannot be shut again. Mm-hmm. And now we just have to see how bumpy the ride is. How bumpy the ride is on the way out. And my selfish takeaway from this whole endeavor was just, thank God I wasn't born into a world with social media. Like I can't fathom being born into it. Like to be born right into the addiction. To just even imagine not knowing the before times and not being able to be wistful about how simple everything was, Like I need that. If you take that away from me, like I'm unmoored. So I can't even imagine what teens today.
Yeah, their brains aren't even developed and they're just like getting bombarded with this. It's just like there's no way they can handle it. We have a hard enough time, like, as adults.
Yeah, exactly.
The other dark thing about the doc is just like how computer scientists and data scientists are taking technology and, just capitalizing on it in the most like ruthless way, where if you're a computer scientist and you don't have like really strong morals or ethics. It's like, oh, Cambridge Analytica, like you want us to help you, like it target certain people for the election ads or whatever, so we can win it. Like, I mean, it has like real world consequences, and it was just kind of like staggering to me that people, you know, you would never even look twice at or like think of to be that important or absolutely like crucial to your survival and like democracy.
It's crazy. And the dramatic scenes show this kid getting sucked in by conspiracy theories. His relationships fall apart. And he has this fake political affiliation called the Extreme Center, which I thought that was pretty funny because they, you know.
Try not to be partisan,
And in the end, all the talking heads, all these people who, when you first see them, you're like, holy shit, they've been shook. They know things. They start talking about inevitable civil war, global environmental and political chaos, the end of humanity in about 20 years if we continue on this trajectory and we don't do anything. And we all fucking know nobody's doing anything. Even us who are talking about this, who are always thinking about this, who are always worried about this, we're going to fall asleep with our phones tonight. We're fucked. So what do we do?
We got to talk about solutions, Lodgecast. We got to come up with the solution.
What do
right
we
here
do?
Now.
We gotta start the M. Night Shyamalan Foundation where we can like live in a village, you know, like off the base, you know, where it's Luddite, you know, society where everyone grows their own food and we sew our own
simpler
clothes.
Times.
And we tell our own shadow puppet stories.
Yes, please.
Government regulation, like that's not going to happen,
right?
Because these, you get to these,
there's too much money.
You get to these tech hearings, and they don't even know they don't understand what these companies are doing. Like they don't understand how their phones work. These politicians, so it's like
they don't understand how to email.
No,
or if you're John Podesta, you don't understand how not to click on something you're not supposed to click on anyway.
Or you're like tweeting you're tweeting your password instead of like, you know, entering it.
Yeah, and the tech companies, there's just too much money to be made. I mean, these guys just print money.
They print it.
So you know, the less employees, the better. Like they're just like, let's just let the AI run and just count the cash and. You know, I mean,
so how do we fix it, Bishki?
So it's up to the individuals to educate themselves by watching this documentary.
Nope, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Hold on,
you can never leave it up to the individuals. All right, come on, love and light. All right,
and the individuals to selectively delete Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, YouTube, Google off their phones.
TikTok
as well.
Man, I got TikTok videos teaching me about my democracy and like, you know, what I should or should not do during, you know, martial law declaration.
Well, Bishki, I think that's a great plan. I think it's really got a shot. So in that interest of love and light, let's go to them social dilemma bones. All right, we'll do a love and light Bishki sandwich because I'm sure Lucas knows we're fucked. Lucas, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
and again, it's like we're talking about what the movie's saying, but we're not really talking about the movie. I don't know. This one's a weird one to give bones, but set the table.
I was in college when a little thing called Friendster was invented.
Whoa.
And my roommate, Tyler Larson from Tucson, who lived with me, he was telling me about it.
Shout out to Tyler. What's up?
And it was like the Socrates cave parable or whatever. Like when he was explaining it to me.
Plato.
Like, thank you. I didn't understand what he was saying. I was like, what are you talking about, Friendster? Like, why the fuck would I want to have friends on a computer when I like have friends in real life? Like that doesn't track. Like it just does not track. Like pen pals are for people in prison, not for me in college. And so I refused. I refused to sign up. And then MySpace came along, and I refused to sign up for that because
you weren't on MySpace?
No, because I'll tell you what happened. So in 2004, when MySpace was banging, I moved back to Los Angeles, and a friend of mine from high school was telling me about it, and he was just a total sociopath and was like meeting random women on MySpace, like friending them, chatting them, meeting them, like I guess having sex with them. And like right before my very eyes, like he, like Chris Hansen to Catch a Predator, like he showed me how to do it. He's like, this is how you do it. Just watch. And within 5 minutes, he went from like not knowing some random stranger to like infiltrating their life by just looking at their page. And I was so put off and perturbed by what I saw in that experiment, that social experiment. I was like, I'm never fucking getting on this. This is a nightmare. No thanks.
You clutched your pearls.
But my point being is like, I just feel, yeah, like social media only causes like more anxiety and stress. And like, you know, I got to keep up with everything and I can't like everything. And like, I can't view the content the way I want to view it. It's like the algorithm is forcing me to see things. So some things I never see, and then other things I see too much of. And it's just like, it's never Goldilocks. Like it's always just a fucking shit show.
Sure.
I'm rambling here. I'm sorry. I give it 1 bone because I just thought, like, tell me something I don't know. Like you said, like, I'm so like, if this came out 4 years ago, like right after Trump got elected, I'd be like, oh shit. Like, of course. But like 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, I'm like, oh shit, I totally got what happened. And then like 2020, you're like, let me tell you what happened. And it's like, yeah, I know, man. Like you don't need to have Vincent Kartheiser like show me how he like engages me to like log in and check my notifications or whatever. Because that's the other thing. I do have social media now today, obviously, but I turn off all my notifications because I'm so like ADD. Like, yeah, if I got real-time notifications, like I would never function. Like I would literally not be able to function.
That's what all the talking heads in the movie say. They say, turn off your notifications.
Yeah.
They're all very clear on that. There's a montage of no notifications. Turn it off. So that's something you can do now while you're listening to this. Turn off your damn notifications, kids. That's one bone from Lucas. Brother Bishke, I'm very curious to see what you're going to say about this.
I think it's important, you know, especially for the young kids. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to see through their eyes, you know. They need to, you know, I mean, it's always fun to like get new information to like say, oh, I'm kind of trying to get out of the matrix and you know, and especially as a kid, like, oh, look at that evil guy trying to manipulate me with his algorithms. And I think the docudrama element, while, you know, it provided some laughs for me, will be effective for the preteens and the teens. So looking through their eyes, and there's some good talking heads that I've admired for a while on here. And Tristan Harris, our leader, is a solid voice for many of the problems. You know, I think
he's working hard to turn back the tide.
Yeah,
futile as it may be.
Yeah, you know, as a doc, you know, it's not. You know, there's many other ones along these lines. There's a front line called the Facebook Dilemma that I would even recommend more.
Oh yeah,
which really digs into Facebook. But yeah, the docudrama stuff was a little rusty, but I'll give it 2.5 bones. I recommend sitting your family down and having a discussion, have a family meeting in person, face to face.
Yeah, have a dialogue.
Lock the phones away and have a dialogue.
FaceTime to FaceTime.
FaceTime to FaceTime each other and and talk about this, because this could be game over for democracy in America and worldwide. So do your best to talk about it.
That's right. 2.5 from Bishke. I'm right there with you, man. And I was all over the place on the bone scale with this. I was like, you know, it was different stages of grief. I'm like, what are these reenactments? Because I hate reenactments in documentaries usually. Yeah. Like, I need them to be very, very abstract. Like, you don't even see faces. If you're trying to tell a historical story and I know what the person really looks like, obscure the face in the reenactments. Just show like a blurry hand grabbing some keys and getting in a car. Give me a flavor of what the story you're trying to tell. But don't do a lavishly produced reenactment like this movie does.
Like Dinesh would do.
Exactly, like Dinesh would do. But as I went on, and like you said, you try to see it through the teen's eyes, you try to see it through the kid's eyes. And it's almost like we're judging a family film here, where we're like, you know, some of the jokes were a little too juvenile for us. Well, yeah, but who's this movie for? You know, this movie is for the front lines of the people that are getting their brains baked right now. So as a viewer, for me, I would probably say like 1.5 or 2, just because it was so basic. But the fact that this has the opportunity to at least ping a little bit of critical thinking in a few people out of the millions and millions of people that watch this on Netflix, if it pings just a few, that's great. So 2.5 for me, bringing it up.
Bring it.
Just because of the potential good this movie can do to just get people to start thinking, you know, where they might not even know that there's potentially a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the filmmaker, he said he wanted to be kind of like Inconvenient Truth, like he wanted to be that big of like a cultural moment, and hopefully it will kind of be that. Hopefully, we'll see. It
could be. I support it. I support what they're doing, and I mean, God help us all. Love and Light. I want to like focus on Bishke's, you know, belief that people can really, the individual can really turn the tide on this. And,
Put your phones down, get out there, get on up.
Before you log off, hit us up on those Instagram comments.
Yeah, hit us up on Instagram.
Smash that subscribe button, smash it.
Follow us on YouTube.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right. That's right. And this movie even ends with a title card that's like, follow us on social media, and then it's like, just kidding. So they know. Oh, God, do they know. Well, love and light, y'all.
Love and light, fam.
Love and light.